Hey everybody, today we're talking about iron supplements. Specifically, we're going to talk about the difference between prescription and non-prescription iron, and I'm going to give you some tips for using iron supplements. So this video is actually a follow-on from one of the most popular videos on my YouTube channel here, where I talked about having low iron and the symptoms that come with having low iron. If you haven't watched that video already, you should definitely check that one out. There was a lot of questions based on that video about supplementing with iron, so hopefully in this video I can tackle some of those questions and hopefully you find it really helpful. And one other thing before we get started, it's absolutely raining like crazy right now, and this studio is actually in my garage, so I'm hoping that the sound of the rain isn't going to cause too much problems for the overall sound of this video, but quite likely you're going to hear a little bit of rain in the background. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Melanie from Female Fitness Systems, and on this YouTube channel we talk about fitness, nutrition, and we talk a lot about supplements and using supplements as you get older. If you're new here, consider subscribing so that you catch future videos from me. And one other thing before we jump into talking about the iron supplements in more detail. Overall, I want you to know how much iron you need. So if you have an iron deficiency, the recommended dosage to correct it is about 100 to 200 milligrams of elemental iron per day. Now, as we get more into the video, we're going to talk about what that elemental iron means, but what you need to know is that this is a huge amount of iron, and there's absolutely no way that you're going to make up this amount of iron with food alone, which is why when you have an iron deficiency, your doctor is going to give you a prescription for iron supplements. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about in this video, the problem with the prescription iron and why so many of you are looking for an alternative to it. Now, usually when you are diagnosed with an iron deficiency, your doctor is going to prescribe you a type of iron called ferrous fumarate or ferrous sulfate. And in general, those supplements will often have about 300 milligrams of iron per tablet. Now, what you need to know is that's not actually the amount of elemental iron in each tablet. So remember, we just mentioned that you need about 100 to 200 milligrams of elemental iron per day to correct a deficiency. Well, in that tablet, that 300 milligram tablet, that's actually the total weight of the supplement, and it's not the amount of elemental iron. Now, you may be able to find the amount of elemental iron somewhere on the information that comes with your prescription iron, and I can't tell you how much that is. It's probably going to be different with each tablet, but let's say, for example, you're only getting 100 milligrams of elemental iron from that 300 milligram tablet. That means that you're going to need to take that prescription iron more than once a day to correct a really bad deficiency, which is why your doctor will sometimes recommend taking your iron more than once a day. And compliance with the prescription iron is really difficult because of the side effects that so many of you experience with it. So if you've taken prescription iron before, you're probably familiar with what I'm talking about. One of the most common side effects for a lot of people is constipation. So the iron tablets can really wreak havoc on your GI system, and especially if you're somebody who already has problems with your GI system already, so let's say you already have something like irritable bowel syndrome, then the iron supplements can be really nasty, and in general they're just not very nice to take. And if you're somebody who just has to take them for a couple of months to correct an iron deficiency, and then you can just manage with food or with a few gentler iron supplements, then maybe prescription iron is going to be okay for you. But for somebody like myself, whose low iron is caused by heavy periods, I have to be on iron pretty much all of the time, and I just can't bear to be on the prescription iron when it hurts my stomach the way it does. And that's what a lot of you are experiencing as well, and that's why you're here. You're looking for something different. So let's now talk about the iron supplements that are out there, how to choose them, and how to use them. The good news is that there are some alternatives out there, some iron supplements that will actually work for you. So the type of iron that I use is something called ferrous bisglycinate chelate. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, so I'm going to put that up on the screen for you. It's also known by the name Ferrochel. The cool thing about this type of iron is that it has been shown to have less side effects than the prescription iron. And the other thing is that it's thought to be a safer form of iron for your body. So iron supplements are known to cause something called oxidative stress in your body. Think of it as just overall cellular damage that can contribute to disease and aging, and that's not a very good situation. So that's why you should never supplement with iron unless you absolutely need to. But the cool thing about the Ferrochel is that it's thought to cause less of this oxidative damage overall. The other thing is that when it comes to supplementing with iron, it's actually so complicated because so many things can block your iron absorption. You've got things like coffee and tea, and then phytates from grains, and things like eggs and dairy. And there's just so many foods that can block iron absorption. And when you're taking the prescription iron, not only are you dealing with the fact that you need to take a lot of it and not all of it's going to be absorbed, and so you're dealing with this situation of just constantly trying to catch up your iron levels and making sure that things aren't going to block the absorption of the iron. Well, the thing about the Ferrochel is that it's thought to be less affected overall by the stuff that blocks iron absorption. So that's another really good thing about the supplement. Now, I actually still am careful not to have things like coffee and tea around my iron supplements. And there's a whole lot of thought that goes into my iron supplementation. I can't go into it in this video, but I do have a really awesome blog post on the topic, and I'll link to that in the description of this video. It's basically like your ultimate guide to iron supplementation, and you really should check that out if you haven't already, because it's important that you get it right if you are scrambling to get your iron levels up and to keep them up every month. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about in this video is that sometimes your doctors will tell you that you'll never be able to get your iron levels up with the non-prescription iron, so with the iron supplements that you can buy online or in the stores. And that's not entirely true. They're misunderstanding the supplements, and what you need to do to make sure that they actually work for you is go back to that whole idea of the elemental iron and the fact that you need about 100 to 200 milligrams of elemental iron per day to correct that iron deficiency, and then have a look at your iron supplement, see how much iron is in it, and just make sure that you're getting into the right amount to correct that deficiency. Now, a lot of the supplements actually list the elemental iron on the package, so they're not like the prescription iron where you have to try to figure out how much elemental iron is in it. So for example, I take the Blue Bonnet extra strength iron, and there's 27 milligrams of iron in there, I believe. That's actually the elemental iron. To get 100 to 200 milligrams of iron each day, I need to take 4 to 6 of those capsules. So it's not a matter of only being able to take 1 or 2 like the prescription iron. You actually just need to take more to make it work for you, especially if you have a very severe iron deficiency. So just bear that in mind. If your doctor says they're not going to work for you, that is not necessarily the case. You just need to make sure you take more, make sure you take it with vitamin C, and make sure you're aware of all of the things that could potentially block your iron absorption. Now, because I know some of you are wondering what supplements I take, I thought I would also show you that in this video. So I use the Blue Bonnet extra strength iron. This is the Ferrochel, and this has 27 milligrams of iron in it. When I was getting ready to do this video, I also actually came across another supplement that I liked. It's this Now Food double strength iron. It has 36 milligrams of iron in it. And I am, in general, a fan of this Now Foods brand of supplements. I find they tend to work really well for me, so I picked some of this iron up as well. I usually take my iron once or twice a day, and I usually take 2 to 3 capsules at a time with some vitamin C. You don't necessarily need to seek out these brands, but I would recommend, if you are looking for something gentler on your stomach, that you do seek out the Ferrochel. And if you throw that into Google, you're going to come up with a whole range of really good supplements that you can use. So I hope you found this video helpful. Remember, I'm not a doctor. This isn't medical advice. I can only tell you what I do, what's worked for me, what's worked for my clients. If you are somebody who has a more milder iron deficiency, you're probably not going to have to take as much iron as I do, and you're probably not going to have to be as on top of it as I have to be. But if you are somebody who really struggles to get your iron levels up and to keep them up, especially if you have super heavy periods, if you're somebody in your 40s who are really struggling like I am, then you're really going to have to stay on top of your iron supplements, because you just can't do it from food alone. Remember, check out my blog post if you want more help with all of this. Watch my other videos here on this YouTube channel about iron. I have the one where I talked about my low iron symptoms, and I have another really good one about training around your iron levels and what to do when your energy is really low. So you should definitely check both of those out. Thanks as always for watching. I am signing off from a very rainy New Zealand. Have a great day, and I'll see you again next time.